Hey everyone, welcome back to SwitchTop. Today, we're looking at the top 15 upcoming RPGs coming to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 in 2026. These are some seriously heavy hitters that are going to give us hundreds of hours of gameplay. Whether you're into post-apocalyptic exploration, monster taming, or classic fantasy adventures, there's something here for everyone. Let's get into it. Trails in the Sky Second Chapter is a fully rebuilt 3D remake of the classic Trails sequel, scheduled to release in fall 2026 on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 as part of a simultaneous global launch. The story continues directly from the first chapter, following Estelle Bright as she searches for Joshua after his sudden disappearance, while uncovering the growing influence of the secretive Ouroboros organization and escalating tensions across the Kingdom of Liberal and the wider continent of Zemuria. The narrative deepens its focus on character relationships, political intrigue, and long-form storytelling, raising the emotional and thematic stakes compared to its predecessor. Gameplay preserves the series' strategic, turn-based combat foundation while modernizing it with full 3D environments, expanded crafts and S-crafts, and the newly introduced Brave Rush system, which allows linked actions during quicker encounters to keep battles feeling fluid without sacrificing tactical depth. The Orbment system returns as the core customization mechanic, encouraging careful party building and skill synergy. Quality of life improvements, such as enhanced presentation, voice acting, and streamlined pacing, aim to make the experience more accessible while respecting the original's structure. DECAPOLICE is an upcoming crime suspense RPG from Level 5, scheduled to launch in 2026 on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, positioning itself as a very different kind of RPG experience focused on investigation rather than fantasy combat. The game follows Harvard Marks, a rookie detective operating in a futuristic city plagued by hidden criminal activity, where progress is driven by solving cases through careful observation, evidence gathering, and logical deduction. A key mechanic revolves around Decasm, a virtual reconstruction of the city that allows players to revisit crime scenes from the past, uncover forgotten clues, and connect timelines in ways that aren't possible in the real world. Gameplay blends free exploration, interrogations, and caseboard-style clue management, encouraging players to piece together information rather than rely on linear objectives. When cases escalate, conflicts take on a more abstract form, with criminals manifesting as symbolic crime beasts, shifting encounters toward tactical confrontations that reflect psychological states instead of traditional turn-based battles. The story leans heavily into themes of justice, technology, and morality, supported by a cast of specialized investigators, making DECAPOLICE one of the more narrative-driven and experimental RPGs set to arrive on Nintendo platforms in 2026.
低俗な犯罪者めあんまり刺激しない方が人質を取ったからって逃げられると思うな焦ってるのか隙だらけだななんだ
The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon is a major upcoming entry in Nihon Falcom's long-running JRPG series, set to release on January 15th, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Serving as a key chapter in the Calvard Republic arc, the game brings together multiple protagonists, including familiar faces from earlier Trails titles, as the story expands toward large-scale political tension, technological escalation, and humanity's push toward space exploration. Gameplay further evolves the series' hybrid combat design, seamlessly blending real-time field encounters with deeper, turn-based command battles that emphasize positioning, timing, and party synergy. New systems such as shard commands, character awakening, and the tactical ZOC mechanic add more control over the flow of battle, encouraging flexible strategies rather than rigid setups. Outside combat, players explore dense urban and regional environments, strengthen bonds between characters, and engage with side activities that feed directly into narrative and mechanical progression. The story leans heavily into long-form world-building, connecting past events with new threats while maintaining a steady focus on character growth, making Trails Beyond the Horizon a defining RPG experience for Nintendo platforms heading into 2026.
Here's some extra. That'll cost you.
Sucker!
Bear guard.
Witchbrook is an upcoming magical life sim RPG scheduled to launch in 2026 on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, offering a cozy yet deep alternative to traditional RPG structures. Set in the charming seaside city of Mossport, The game places you in the role of a young witch enrolled at Witchbrook College, where daily life revolves around attending classes, learning spells, brewing potions, practicing divination, and mastering broom flight. Gameplay blends RPG progression with life simulation systems, encouraging exploration of a living town filled with seasonal events, side activities, and a dynamic cast of NPCs with whom you can build friendships and romantic relationships. Outside of school, players can decorate and expand their home, customize their character with detailed clothing options, and engage in small ventures that help shape their routine and identity. Witchbrook also supports online co-op for up to 4 players, allowing friends to share the world and activities together. While no exact release date has been announced, the game is officially slated for 2026, positioning it as one of the most relaxing and personality-driven RPG experiences coming to Nintendo platforms. Memoire, Revelations in Celceta, is an upcoming action RPG remaster scheduled to release on February 17, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, bringing a refreshed version of a key Ys entry to modern Nintendo hardware. The game follows legendary adventurer Adol Kristin, who awakens deep within the dangerous Great Forest of Celceta with no memory of his past, pushing the story forward through exploration and the gradual recovery of his lost identity. Gameplay focuses on fast, real-time combat built around a party system, allowing players to switch between characters on the fly and exploit enemy weaknesses through quick positioning, skill usage, and momentum-driven encounters. Exploration is equally important, with a strong emphasis on mapping uncharted territory, discovering hidden paths, and completing objectives that gradually reveal both the world and Adol's memories. The remaster enhances presentation while preserving the series' trademark speed and fluidity, and includes quality-of-life improvements alongside the option to switch between the original soundtrack and a newly arranged score. Pokémon Pokopia is an upcoming life simulation RPG scheduled to release March 5, 2026, exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, offering a completely different take on the Pokémon universe. Instead of focusing on traditional battles, the game casts players as a Ditto, taking on a human-like form, tasked with restoring Pokopia, a once thriving land where humans and Pokémon coexisted. Gameplay centers on exploration, gathering, crafting, and settlement building, with players collecting resources, farming land, constructing homes and facilities, and shaping environments to attract specific Pokémon species. Each Pokémon interacts with the world in practical ways, teaching abilities like Water Gun or Leafage that directly affect terrain, crops, and progression, rather than combat outcomes. A dynamic day-night cycle, multiple biomes, and deep customization systems give Pokopia a relaxed but engaging rhythm, while quests and requests from Pokémon gradually expand the community. The game also supports visiting other players' towns through local and online features, reinforcing its social focus. With its emphasis on creativity, gentle progression, and meaningful Pokémon interaction, Pokémon Pokopia stands out as one of the most experimental and cozy RPG-style experiences coming to Nintendo hardware in 2026.
Whether solo or with friends, you're free to do whatever you want, from granting Pokémon requests to building the town of your dreams. Set out on an adventure to create a flourishing world where Pokémon live in peace and comfort. What else?
Tales of Berseria Remastered is set to arrive on February 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, with full compatibility expected on Nintendo Switch 2, bringing a polished version of one of the darker entries in the Tales series to Nintendo platforms. The story follows Velvet Crow, a woman driven by revenge after a devastating betrayal, as she journeys across the Midgand archipelago alongside a group of morally complex allies, exploring themes of justice, emotion, and personal sacrifice. Gameplay is built around fast-paced, real-time action combat, allowing players to chain arts into fluid combos, swap party members on the fly, and adapt strategies dynamically during battle. Character progression emphasizes customization through skills, equipment, and party synergy rather than rigid class roles. The remaster enhances the experience with quality of life improvements such as clearer navigation, streamlined progression systems, optional encounter controls, and the inclusion of previously released DLC content. While preserving the original game's distinctive tone and combat flow, the updated presentation and refinements make Tales of Berseria Remastered a strong, narrative-driven action RPG offering for Nintendo hardware in 2026. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition is an enhanced edition of From Software's acclaimed open-world action RPG, scheduled to release in 2026 exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, marking the game's debut on Nintendo's next-generation hardware. This edition delivers the complete Elden Ring experience, including the base game and the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, alongside additional equipment and customization options packaged to take advantage of the Switch 2's improved performance. Set in the vast and haunting lands between, the story follows the Tarnished, an outcast warrior seeking to restore the shattered Elden Ring and claim the title of Elden Lord, with the narrative unfolding through environmental storytelling, cryptic characters, and deep lore rather than traditional exposition. Gameplay centers on deliberate, skill-based combat that rewards timing, positioning, and build experimentation, allowing players to approach encounters with melee weapons, magic, stealth, or hybrid styles. Exploration is a core pillar, with wide-open regions, hidden dungeons, and imposing bosses encouraging freedom and discovery at every turn. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties is an upcoming action RPG package scheduled to release on February 12, 2026, exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, combining a full remake of Yakuza 3 with a brand new companion storyline titled Dark Ties. Yakuza Kiwami 3 modernizes the original experience with upgraded visuals and refined real-time combat built around heavy brawling, precise timing, environmental interactions, and character progression through skills and abilities, while maintaining the series' signature blend of action and RPG systems. The story centers on Kazuma Kiryu as he attempts to live a quieter life in Okinawa while protecting an orphanage, only to be drawn back into the violent power struggles and betrayals of the Yakuza underworld. Dark Ties expands the narrative by shifting perspective to Yoshitaka Mine, offering a parallel story that explores ambition, loyalty, and descent into organized crime through unique combat encounters and focused story-driven missions. Outside of main story content, players can freely explore dense city districts packed with side activities, sub-stories, and character-driven moments that add texture to the world. The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, is an upcoming action RPG scheduled to release in 2026 on Nintendo Switch 2, introducing a brand new fantasy world presented in Square Enix's distinctive HD 2D visual style. Set on the untamed continent of Philibealdia, the story follows Elliot, a young adventurer who leaves the safety of the Kingdom of Huther alongside his fairy companion Faye to explore ancient ruins and uncover a mystery that spans centuries. Gameplay is built around real-time combat rather than turn-based systems, with Elliot able to wield up to 7 different weapon types, each offering unique attack patterns, movement options, and tactical advantages that can be enhanced through Magicite upgrades. Exploration plays a major role, featuring open environments, puzzle-filled dungeons, and shrine-like challenges that reward curiosity and mastery of traversal mechanics. Faye supports both combat and exploration by assisting with abilities, item collection, and environmental interactions, and can even be controlled by a second player for cooperative play. Blending fast-paced action, adventure-driven progression, and a time-spanning narrative, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, stands out as one of the most ambitious new RPG-style experiences coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026.
Try out all sorts of variations to find the playstyle that works for you. Your fairy companion, Faye, can also attack and pick up items. You can control both Elliot and Faye separately.
Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition is set to arrive on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, bringing Bethesda's expansive post-apocalyptic RPG to Nintendo hardware for the first time in a complete, definitive form. This edition includes the full Fallout 4 base game, along with all major expansions, Automatron, Far Harbor, Nuka World, Vault Tech Workshop, Wasteland Workshop, and Contraptions Workshop, plus a large collection of Creation Club content that adds new quests, weapons, armor, companions, and customization options. The story places players in the role of the sole survivor, emerging from Vault 111 after nuclear devastation to explore the Commonwealth while searching for their lost child, with narrative progression shaped by player choices, faction alliances, and moral decisions. Gameplay blends open-world exploration, quest-driven role-playing, and flexible combat that combines real-time shooting with the tactical VATS system for targeted attacks. Deep crafting and settlement building systems allow players to construct bases, customize weapons and armor, and reshape the wasteland to fit their playstyle. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is set to release on January 22, 2026, for Nintendo Switch 2, bringing the definitive version of Square Enix's reimagining of a JRPG classic to Nintendo's next-generation hardware. The game retells the opening arc of Final Fantasy VII, following Cloud Strife, a former soldier turned mercenary, as he joins the resistance group Avalanche in their fight against the Shinra Electric Power Company and its exploitation of the planet's life force, Mako, within the sprawling city of Midgar. Gameplay blends real-time action combat with tactical, command-based mechanics, allowing players to freely move, dodge, and attack while pausing the action to issue abilities, spells, and item commands, creating a hybrid system that rewards both reflexes and strategy. Intergrade includes the episode Intermission expansion, which introduces Yuffie Kisaragi in a parallel storyline featuring new combat mechanics, character interactions, and narrative context that complements the main campaign. Exploration, cinematic storytelling, and character-driven moments are tightly woven together, supported by quality-of-life refinements and accessibility options that smooth progression without sacrificing depth.
新しい FF7 を体験いただけます。スイッチ2で展開する FF7 リメイクシリーズにぜひご期待ください。
Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is an upcoming turn-based RPG set to release on March 13, 2026, exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, continuing Capcom's story-driven spin-off of the Monster Hunter series. The game takes place in the Kingdom of Azuria, where you play as the heir and sole Rathalos rider, drawn into a growing crisis caused by a mysterious phenomenon known as crystal encroachment, which destabilizes ecosystems and fuels conflict with the rival kingdom of Vermeil. Gameplay revolves around exploration, monster egg collecting, and raising monsties, with combat built on the series' signature turn-based system that uses power, speed, and technical attacks in a strategic rock-paper-scissors dynamic. Battles emphasize synergy between the rider and their monsties, introducing new mechanics like synchronized attacks, enhanced bonding actions, and more tactical depth through positioning and timing. The story expands the scope of the series by weaving together environmental themes, political tension, and ancient legends, including the mystery of twin Rathalos and their connection to the unfolding disaster.
Keep it up!
Good! You did it! Yeah!
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is an upcoming tactical RPG scheduled to launch in 2026 exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, marking the next mainline entry in Nintendo's long-running strategy series. Set in a familiar yet distinct era within the broader Fire Emblem world, the story centers on the Heroic Games, a grand, high-stakes tournament orchestrated by a mysterious, divine sovereign, drawing warriors from across the continent who each carry personal ambitions, hidden pasts, and conflicting ideals. The narrative leans into fate, choice, and consequence, with story paths shaped by both battlefield decisions and character relationships. Gameplay retains the series' classic turn-based, grid-based combat, emphasizing careful positioning, unit synergy, weapon interactions, and terrain advantages, while modern refinements aim to streamline pacing without sacrificing strategic depth. Between battles, players can develop bonds between characters, influencing combat performance and unlocking story moments that affect alliances and outcomes. Character progression, class advancement, and branching decisions are tightly woven into the experience, reinforcing replayability and long-term planning.
You think I'd let you deny me my feelings?
I refuse to accept defeat. Not now!
For those who stand upon the final stage, I shall grant whatever wish you may desire. So say I, the Divine Sovereign, that I vow to you.
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is set to launch on February 5th, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a fully rebuilt version of one of the most ambitious entries in the Dragon Quest series. Reimagined from the ground up, the game presents a handcrafted diorama-style visual approach that modernizes Akira Toriyama's iconic character designs while preserving the series' warm, storybook tone. The story begins on the isolated island of Astard, where a young protagonist and their companions uncover the Shrine of Mysteries, opening pathways to lost continents trapped in the past and setting off a time-spanning journey where restoring history directly reshapes the present. Gameplay remains rooted in classic turn-based combat, refined with modern quality-of-life features such as adjustable battle speed and clearer progression flow. A reworked vocation system allows characters to pursue multiple class paths, encouraging experimentation and long-term party planning through layered skills and abilities. Exploration plays a central role, with puzzles, fragmented narratives, and self-contained story arcs spread across different eras that slowly build into a larger, emotionally driven adventure.
This is the stuff! You and me battling side by side again! Flames!
And that's the top 15 upcoming RPGs for Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 in 2026. Every single one of these games offers dozens of hours of content, and honestly, any of them could easily take over your gaming time for months. Which one are you most hyped for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo content. See you in the next one!